First deployment, do you remember?
18 months. He was gone 18 months. And then when he went to his second deployment, he did 16 months.
How long has he been home now?
He's been home like 3.5 years now. Yeah. But he relocated from Alaska to back in the States. It's been like two, no, she's not two. It's been a little over a year because he had his second child before he moved back to the States. He came down, he was like, Mom, I'm coming for Thanksgiving, and then it was like, something happened, he wasn't gonna be able to come, and he was determined he was coming, so he did make it. And being that he always have a key, no matter where I live, he always have a key. When I woke up Thanksgiving morning, him and his family was already here and up in the bed asleep. And I heard I know the door was closed when I went to bed that night, but then when I woke up, the door was closed, and then I heard my grandbaby crying. And I was like, oh, they in there. But I didn't know they had made it like 4 o'clock that morning, Thanksgiving morning, and he just didn't want to wake me. So then when I came downstairs and I started cooking, because I had been cooking like all night the night before. And he heard me cooking, he came downstairs, he tipped downstairs, and he was like, hey, Mom, and he gave me a hug and kiss and everything. And then later on that day, because he want to stay fit. He always go to the gym, no matter where he's at. And when he came home around 12:30, 1 o'clock that afternoon from working out, and I was sitting on my porch, I was so tired, and he was like, Mom, come in the house for a minute. I need to talk to you. And when I came in the house, he was like, just sit right here. And I was like, no, tell me, I want to stand up and tell me. And so he called his wife downstairs, and he was like, you read the plaque. Why? Because you're a better reader. And why I present this to my mom. And he was like, Mom, remember when I called you and I asked you how many holes you have in your ear for earrings? And I said, 2. But he said, but I noticed you only wear one earring and you don't have nothing in the other ear, in the other holes. So I was like, yeah, I wear them sometime, but I just wear something small. So he said, well, as Mika reading, as she's reading, I want you to stand here by me. And then when his wife started reading off the plaque to me, then that's when he opened up the box. And when he opened up the box, he was like, you remember when I told you, Mom, about the earrings? And I was like, yeah. He said, you didn't know you was also getting a diamond earrings and necklace. And as she read what it meant to him, me as a mother, I was just like, before she got finished, I was overwhelmed. I was like, for a whole hour, I couldn't do anything. I was just like, I didn't even know. Your kids love you, and being that Patrick, he's real quiet. He's always quiet, and you never know what he has on his mind, what he's thinking. And just to think that, this is why he really wanted to make this trip home for Thanksgiving, because he was going to send it to me, but he said no. He felt like he wanted to present it to me.
Did you have any suspicion at that point that maybe this was his way of saying goodbye?
I didn't, but when everybody was gone and everything was over, and the next day I sat down to myself and I read the plaque over again. I read the card, what it meant, and I was like, is he trying to tell me something? And then, being that my daughter-in-law had, in a way, told me he may be getting deployed, but she wasn't for sure. I was like, Lord, I give it all to you. I put all my trust in you. And I know it's nothing finna happen to my son because you promised me that you would take care of my child. But, is my son presenting something to me for the last time? It's like how I feel when I always said, when I see people on the TV and I talk to different people and they say, when they see soldiers or they see people from the military come to their door and they have a flag in their hand. And I'm like, is this my flag? And then it's like, and I heard a little voice say, no. But when I talked to him on Monday, he encouraged me that it's not as bad as I think, But as a mother, it's hard to know. And I think I get by with it more because when he leaving, I never go to the airport where he's at. I deal with it better being home than actually seeing him finna leave to go on the plane, because I don't think I can deal with it. I haven't had to deal with it. And I just thank God that he put my daughter-in-law in my son's life. She's the one that has to deal with that. And me and her are very close, and I try to talk her through it once she see it happens, but I don't think I can do it as a mother. I don't. And I pray to God I don't never have to. And I'm just praying that this is his last deployment.
How long do you think he'll have to be there?
Well, he told me 3 months. He said 3 months. So I'm praying it's only 3 months. Mm-hmm. I'm just praying that it's only 3 months.
If you were to give advice to a mother new at this,
right,
whose son or daughter was leaving for the first time or for the last time, you never know.
Right.
What are some of the things you might want to tell her?
For starters, I would tell the mom to put all her trust in the Lord. That's you have to. And I have learned over the time that when your child is leaving, the hurtingest thing for them to do is to see you emotional. It's already hard on them going, but for them to actually see you all in tears, if you can, hold it in until they're gone and they're out your sight. You can cry as much as you want later, but at that time, just try to be strong for them. Be strong for them, and wherever they at, if possible, which is never not possible, if you can send them a care package, if you can send them a letter. I used to write my son every day. I don't know if he got a letter every day, but I wrote enough letters to he can get something from me every day. He don't have time not to think about home and his family and his mom and everyone love him. And I never want him to think that he was alone. And when he left home to go to college and end up in the military, the Bible that he left home with to go to college and to go to military, he took that Bible with him when he got deployed, and he said he always read his word. He stayed no matter what. That's what he done, because that's what he was taught. Mm-hmm.
And I suppose you're very supportive of your daughter-in-law, like you said.
Yeah.
Help her and the children.
Yeah.
That must not be easy for her.
It's not. And a lot of times when he first came back from the first deployment, she was telling me like some of the things that he was doing, and she thought maybe, I don't remember the medical term of it, but it's like they program them to go, the military program them to go. When they come back, they have to be like deprogrammed or something. And it's like, she says sometime he want to stay to himself. And it was things that he was doing out of the ordinary. And I told her, I say, baby, whatever you do, don't pressure him, because we don't know what he did or what he seen or what he went through when he was over there. When he was over there for 18 months. And I say, as a wife, you just have to pray and ask God to give you the strength to be able to deal with whatever situation that he's going through. You know, and then when he's ready to talk, let him come to you. Don't, pressure him to say, well, why you doing this or why you doing that? Because sometimes you can trigger them and it could be worse. And then with the second deployment, when he left and when he came back, she noticed the same thing, but she was able to deal with it the second time because it was so bad. Like the first 3 months that he was home, it was like, I guess they're taught to watch their surroundings at all times. So it's like, no matter where they go, it's like he's like on guard at all times. But one thing that I thank God for, when I talked to him, he was like, and she said the same thing. When he was going through what he was going through, he would always tell her, I could be worse than some other soldiers, but he said, when I leave to go to work, he said, I leave my job on base. He said, when I come home, I'm a husband and a father. I'm not the man in uniform. Which one do you want? The man in uniform, or do you want a husband and a father for your child, for our child? And when she told me, and he told me the same thing, he said, Mom, he said, she don't realize what I went through. And it's a lot of things that nobody know but me and God, what I went through. And, it was one time, he didn't tell me till later after he had been deployed twice, but he had told his father, and my husband would never tell me what he said, but my son told me. He was like, Mom, when I was in Iraq, he was like, like how me and you sitting to the table talking, but they were sitting to the table eating. And he was like, they were sitting, and he said the guy that was sitting in front of him, he said a missile came through. And when the missile came through, it hit the guy in front of him. And he killed him right in front of him. But the missile passed my son and went straight to him. And he said, he was lost for words. But that's what he tell me. He says a lot that he go through, that he just have to pray and ask God to keep him strong. But as the time go by, he done been in there. So he done been there. He say he's gonna make a career out of it. He said he's gonna make a career out of it. Because when he got ready to re-enlist the second time, that's when he called me. He told me, he said, Mom, I want to be the first to tell you that I'm gonna re-enlist again. And he's saying, I have made up my mind, I'm gonna make a career out of it. Because he was like, once all the war and everything is over, it's like getting up, going to work every day. It's just like you got a job every day. And he said, I want to be a better man for my family. I want to be a role model for my siblings.
Because he's the oldest.
And that he is. He has 2 brothers and 2 sisters. I have 5 kids in all, and he's the oldest.
And they probably look up to him.
Very much. Very much. Because like I say, he was always like a little man from young. He was always, like I say, a professor. And now his new nickname is the General. He done went from the professor to the General. So, as a mother, I just want to say, besides being a mother, it's always grandmothers, grandfathers, fathers, sisters, brothers, and all. But as a family and as a whole, the thing that would help us